rules and how things work. I could be wrong. But ultimately, and that's why you saw Joanne, her experience, knowing full well that she can cover, almost block Summer from taking that wave.
A little victory lap moment here for our Japanese athlete, Amuro Suzuki, and she's driving down the line. There's a lot to like about the way this woman surfs. I'm loving the power and the speed. She'll finish off on the inside. That's not going to change anything in terms of her total. But that has been a bit of a masterclass from her on how to take your opportunities. She's gone right up the scale into that excellent range, well into the excellent range. The highest score of the day so far, the highest total, 15.24. It's really impressive to see her take on big names like this woman, Joanne de Fey. She'll advance with her, but in second place. And what a heat, Pete. What a heat.
You know, nothing's going to change as far as, even if there is the interference in place, Joanne will finish in second, and Amuro will take the win. So congratulations to Amuro, and impressive, like you had mentioned.
Yeah, and what a way to qualify for the next round. Give yourself all that confidence. You can probably watch her heat back later and see what she did. She's just got to keep going with that kind of energy. We talk about the beach breaks, the random nature. There's a bit of chance in there too, but at the same time, when those opportunities do come, you really do need to put them away, especially when you're coming up against the caliber, some of the athletes we have, some of the CT surfers. You don't get a lot of room to leave any doors open, and absolutely slamming it shut, Suzuki. So a great heat to finish off that round. We are going to keep powering through. We're still waiting for scores to come in here, but we think it's just going to be a number for Amuro, which won't change the standings.
Saw the right from Pauline Nadeau coming in her best number, but doesn't change where she sits in the positioning. She may actually jump up if there's an interference and finish in third, but she's not going to advance.
Yeah, sure. Didn't really get the waves down there, did she, Pauline? We're going to get a break and join us for round 3 right after this. Welcome back to the iconic Galician surf break of Pantin, the Abanca Galicia Classic Surf Pro 2019 Women's QS 3000. That's round 2, all wrapped up. Official results. What a performance from Suzuki. She takes the CT start. Joanne de Fey along with her. We'll say adios to Ado and Macedo, and we'll keep rolling on through to the next round. We'll also welcome back into the booth Gig Cilius.
Thanks very much, Paul Evans. How was the value of that last heat? Wow, 907. That Japanese surfer turning the heat upside down. We now move into a new round. It's round 3, heat 1, joining us with 3-person heats. It's a good afternoon. Well, it's nearly a good evening, actually, as we introduce Bronte McCauley, Hinako Kurakawa, and Philippa Anderson to the lineup. Of course, this is Pantin in Spain. And wasting no time, this is your surfer out of Newcastle, Australia. Philippa, who grew up in South Africa, and then immigrated at a fairly young age to polish her surfing over in the eastern shores of Australia. Of course, Philippa, sister to Craig Anderson, still having a good knock on the qualifying series run here. Of course, we'll see how Philippa fares here against the experience of Bronte McCauley. And, here's another one of those Japanese names, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Headline performances. I like the polish on Philippa. I like the way she's timing those. And 3 women heats, just asking a different question. Not so crowded out there in that lineup. A little bit more opportunity, a little bit more patience, using that priority as well. So it'd be interesting to see how, if at all, the approach differs.
Well, what are we making of conditions here as we move into a new round? We have been confirmed that we will get 4 heats of this round underway. Here's that 3.5 early on for Philippa.
Yep. Nicely timed first.
Us now. I took a little walk in that last heat while you and Pete were doing duty, Paul, and it is thumping out there. It seems that everything starts late and finishes strong in Spain.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And some people obviously still on holiday. Some people can even come down after work to get a couple of hours of epic surfing. It's still the weekend down here. Sunday. And we're opening up our QS competition to the women. On day 1 of this waiting period, we will have the option We're possibly running some men as well tomorrow. Could look pretty likely. Looking at our forecast, and it's cool to have the dynamic of having both sides as well. So just picking the eyes out of conditions.
10,000s ever in the history of women's qualification until this here 2019. 2 of them, in fact. Of course, the US Open is in the books and run and dusted. But this here, Pantin in Spain, the Abanca Galicia Classic Surf Pro, really affording a massive opportunity for the girls to rake in points. You know, Pete and I were getting into a topic a couple of heats ago, is, 17th place finish here is worth, as much as it's worth double winning a QS 1000.
Yeah, massive. So really significant numbers going to be dropped and shaking up those ratings. Let's see who emerges at the end of it, but a strong performance here and a strong showing, and really bolstering your chances of that all-important qualifying spot.
Well, the water fairly chilly here, around 59 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the northwest corner of Spain. Just on the drop of a coin, that the ocean can completely change. So surfers being very alert to all kinds of swells that can move into this very exposed beach here of Pantin. And as I say that, we'll probably cue in Bronte Macaulay here. Bronte will refuse that one. Remember that she can't lose a priority at this early stage. It's only Philippa Anderson that has stood up and has a 3rd priority in the lineup. So even though Philippa's back in, she's got to give way to the other 2 surfers. Meanwhile, Bronte now, 2nd wave of the set, finds a little wave that hugs on the sandbar here. We saw Bronte with a strong finish in round 2 earlier today. Nice track through the inside for the Championship Tour surfer. Bronte Macaulay now in the second half of 2019 sits 11th on the Jeep leaderboard, so turning a lot of focus and effort to this year, the qualifying series.
Yeah, nice little bit of sort of discerning lineup management. She was on the wave before that one. She decided she didn't like it.
Almost kind of put it out of position into position.
Yeah, lets it go and then checks the one behind. And it was a smart choice because that stood up sweetly for her, that opening bowl. She executed a really nice rail maneuver, held the board on rail a long time down there.
Well, Hinako Kurokawa just onto our screens there will vanish on her wave number 1. So opening scores in now for all surfers. Well, when I say opening scores, opening rides in. Awaiting scores now for Bronte Macaulay and Hinako Kurokawa. Of course, the Japanese really making themselves known here at the QS 10,000. And talking of that, let's go down and hear from Amura Suzuki, because she stomped all over that last heat.
Thank you. I'm here with Amura Suzuki, who came all the way from Japan. She's going to go out with the fight. So I wanted to know what your dream was. We were talking about it. What's your ultimate dream as a surfer?
My dream is get city surfer.
Yeah, to be on the World Championship Tour, this is a great way to win points, 10,000. You're actually going to NIAS next, which sounds pretty exciting. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready. I'm looking forward to next contest too. Yeah,
it seems like you're getting excited for big barreling waves too, huh? You like all sorts of waves?
Yeah. Hey.
All right. Well, we're going to cheer on the Japanese contingency moving on to the next round.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. Good surfing from young Amura Suzuki there in the lineup. A massive haul of points there. And over very experienced campaigners in Joanne DeFay, Pauline Addo, and Summer Macedo. So hats off.
Taking names, not showing too much respect for our CT surfer. Just sticking to her own game and absolutely blazing it. Not getting involved in any other sort of squabbles over waves or priority mix-ups. Just excellent surfing from Suzuki.
Well, I did hear that she's on her way to NIAS after this event here in Pantin. Of course, a shout out to Tippy Jabrick and the crew over in Indonesia. And of course, they'll be getting very involved in that campaign to stop the development on the reefs in beautiful NIAS.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I think you can find out about that as a petition online as well. You can go ahead and sign, so help participate in keeping one of the great iconic Indonesian and global surf spots pristine.
Yep. So listeners, viewers, if you could just help on that campaign, that would be great. Keep NIAS. And go and Google around, you'll find it. It's certainly, we love that surfing has that ability to notice things that are threats like that to environment and specifically in that case to the iconic wave of Nias in Lagundri Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that environmental tip, it's pretty cool to see some of the initiatives taken down here at this event.
Yep.
In terms of our packaging and all the plastics, it's all biodegradable stuff. It's all stuff grown from plants. So even things that look like plastic cups, they're actually totally biodegradable.
Nice.
And it's really cool to see everyone kind of stepping up. And that's not only here at the event where we are, but also in all the food village and everything for the public. So really cool to see everyone just taking a bit more care of Mother Nature.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great festive atmosphere. Hats off to the organisers here in Galicia. A really top-class setup here at the contest site itself. Of course, celebrating now 31 years. It's a anniversary, so to speak, for the region. You'd think of names like Dave McCauley, who'll be watching very closely his daughter Bronte out in the water, would have done so many visits to this region of Pantin in Spain. This is one of those bastions of European surfing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you've done the hard yards around European surfing and competing, at some point you'll have been to this spot. If you've been surfing since, 88 was our first event, wasn't it? So one of the iconic great names at the moment. Obviously all the focus is with Hossegor and with Peniche, our CT venues, but this right up there is one of those classic venues. And also to the fact that the timing's never changed for this. It's always been this week. Always been the last summer. It's kind of like that final blowout, and that's one of the reasons why it's so much more than just a surf event. There's all this other stuff going on. We've got a really cool kind of country feel down here and a little festival vibe to proceedings, and that's one of the reasons why, because we've got a wicked setup on the cliff here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beach festivities here. It's a Sunday afternoon. In fact, no, it's a Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. The sun goes down at 9:10, so expect the enthusiastic Spanish here to really get stuck into some celebrations this afternoon. It must have been thumping here when you guys wrapped up the longboard event yesterday.
Oh, every day. In fact, every day the longboards, we had pumping waves, good sunshine, some great action going on in the skate park as well. That's open for a couple of sessions in the afternoon. There's a big crowd down here yesterday for that while the surfing was going on. There's so much to check out down here. Some good places to get stuff to eat as well, and of course sit down and watch your favourite surfers in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of favourites, there's a little 617 that slipped onto the scorecard for Bronte McCauley. So opening wave now in the hatch. Now have a look at wave number 2 here. Here is your Western Australian. Little snap to check there, and she'll go down in it. So she'll go quickly back to the drawing board. 617, as we mentioned. Best score by a fair amount. Hinako Kurakawa, the Japanese surfer, in the blue, not fetching more than a 2.33 and a 1.93. And Philippa Anderson still holds on to that open of the 3.5 with some work to do if she wants to build some reasonable numbers. You think that 617 is going to carry all the way to the finish line now for Bronte McCauley in this late afternoon in Pantin.
Yeah, I mean, although she made the mistake there, I like the approach from her. I like the aggression. She's not going for half turns. She really laid it all into that manoeuvre. As we'll check a replay of Kurakawa swinging onto this right-hander. 3 nice hits from her. She does well to finish off on that inside section down there. A nice bit of variety. So let's see what she gets going here. But she's going to definitely improve on her previous score. She only had a 1.9 and a 2.33. And that's going to increase her participation in terms of the scoreboard.
Yeah, Paul, seeing one judge drop a 4.3 on it. Going to average out at the 3.93, so good, useful number for Hinako Kurakawa here. The surfer in blue ranked 37th on the qualifying series here at the second QS 10,000. Of course, she did finish with a 17th place finish. Got some reasonable 2,200 points out of the effort over in Huntington Beach about a month back. And just having a look at her resume here. Well, let's watch Bronte McCauley. Inside section for Bronte. Nice little completed drive there. Love the way the tail released there. Wave number 3 for Bronte in the late afternoon. And now switching back to the other side of the peak for Kurakawa. Back at it. Almost a replay of her previous ride. She's found a little groove in the lineup. Last ride in at a 3.93, now waiting for that one. We'll see where the numbers go. Philippa Anderson's gone a little quiet on us here. She started strong with a, well, relatively strong with a 3.5, but gone a little bit quiet on us.
Yeah, I think her next wave is going to be crucial. She'll want to stay at the races here Quite an important hit on the inside for Bronte, I thought. And she did well to nail that turn. She got pretty late as she hit that section. And she finishes off that left pretty well. And then the immediate reply on the other side of the peak from Kurokawa. I like the difference in her turn. She went up into that first re-entry maneuver, then more of a carving turn. Be interesting to see. Well, the score does come in for her, and it's an improvement. Oh, it just comes just under a high score.
Well, this is a look at that last ride, a 3.53 in for Kurokawa. So 2 waves are almost in immediate succession. Can see that quite often here on these rippy beach break banks. And a 4.5 is going to make its way to the heat leader, Bronte McCauley, care of that last little inside left-hander. So there's the look of the heat now. All surfers on 2 rides or more sets the tone with the halfway mark upon us here. Bronte McCauley, 6.17, plus the 4.5 into the early lead. Hinako Kurokawa lies second, and Philip Anderson doesn't need much to chase down that second place position.
Yeah, interesting to see some rights being ridden by Kurokawa. For the moment, it certainly seems like plan A for McCauley is to surf those lefts, stick to those left-handers on the forehand. Of course, her dad, who's over here looking after her, helping her out. He's well known at a spot called Left-Handers down there in the Margaret River region of WA. But she is sticking to these forehand waves here. A nice little opening wrap, and then this, she just did well to nail that. That's backing yourself in a kind of a risky spot. And a nice 4.5 just consolidates for her.
Meanwhile, picking up live action here, Philippa Anderson's finding a clean left here in the late afternoon. And a couple of nice snaps here. Good pivot right there out the lip. That is a useful wave for Philippa Anderson, who's going to put the Japanese surfer under some pressure now, because that will easily go over the requirement to advance of a 3.96, Paul. So nice back half of the heat coming at us here.
Yeah, well, we thought it would be an important move that she needed to make. She takes off late in the white water, stands up, and this one steepens up sweetly for her. She gets a little opening snap. Now the wave starts to stand up. That's a really nice hit. Look at the speed she carries. Bang, another nice hit. And she'll just finish off by leaping across that white water. But 2 good bashes. The entry, she was quite deep on the bowl down there, and that put her nicely behind the section, allowed her to come around with speed and get into a critical part of the wave.
Let's put our judges' hats on for a moment. I think that's the second to best wave we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah? Happy to go with that?
I wouldn't be overly surprised. We'll see if it goes close to Bronte's wave. I think it was a really well-surfed wave. I like the way she seemed to just get faster and faster as it went on. Maybe if it had another section on the end, but you know she can't surf what isn't there. But I think that's going to be a really useful number.
So Paul and myself are the amateur judges here, just making our random comments. Of course, best wave does belong at this stage to Bronte McCauley with the 6.17. And we're speculating where Philippa Anderson's last ride is going to fit into things. Judges will just ponder that for a while as we have a look at the contest site again here. Outstanding job here by Abanca and, of course, the region of Galicia.
That's us just on the left there in that little black tent.
Do you think anyone even cares where we're sitting, Paul? Let's have a look at this. Inside section, nice slam for Bronte, heat leader. Trying to drop the 4.5. Release of the fins there again. High tide forming the bowls on the inside for Bronte. And she'll just hop across that section. She'll just roll into that white water. So judges now will owe us for all 3 surfers. We'll wait for those scores to settle again. But, well, Bronte McCauley's 4.5. Is she replacing a score?
Tell you what, we thought she would stick to the left. She has, and I love the way she gets straight down to business. This one will double up, and she'll go into the lip and just sting it. She keeps the speed going. Then more of a wrapping snap turn using that rail, but again, hits the gas, goes down the line, and finishes with a big tag on the end. Compare that to a 4.5. There were 2 maneuvers. I think it is going to be better.
Replacement, but not by a huge margin.
Not by a huge margin,
All right.
but a 4.5 I don't think it had quite as much energy to it as that ride, and just a little bit more convincing with the finish as well.
Wow.
So the number also is dropping in for Philippa Anderson.
And this again proves what a bad judge we really are. Philippa Anderson may very well be extracting the best number of the heat. And having a look at another hit to the lip there. Redirection now for the tall Australian out of Newcastle. Just a short one there for her. She'll be dropping a 2.17 for sure, because into Her scoreline comes a 6.5. So there we were speculating that it may be just short of the best wave of the heat. In fact, it is the best score of the heat now in. Philippa Anderson climbs a spot from third to second with 11 minutes to go. And we'll just wait for those last scores to come in again, as judges will be thinking about this backhand snap.
Yeah, one big hit from her, and then she'll go back in the other direction, just climb some foam. But she surfed herself back into this heat. We were just saying she'd been quiet. She needed to get herself back in. She found herself a really great wave. It's all about the positioning on the bank and just reading this lineup. And then, of course, all about the surf and done on the wave. Great series of manoeuvres from Philippa. And she moves herself into a reasonably strong second. She still has a 3-5, though. That keeps her vulnerable. But a good move to nail that high score. And we've got a couple of numbers yet to come in. Let's see what happens in terms of Kurokawa. But it looks like she's got a number to drop too.
Well, following the live action here, Hinako Kurokawa in the three-man heat. We're in round 3 of competition. Nice little jam right there. So under 10 minutes to go, and the judges have caught up scores for Bronte McCauley. And we were speculating just slightly better than a 4.5. It's gone much better than that, 6.33. So the heat leader is still Bronte McCauley, but now a pair of sixes make up the lead.
Yeah, and just reflection, I think, on the impetus on the inside from her. And we're checking out a replay of Kurokawa. Gets a nice little meaty section that she'll tee off on. Doesn't get another one, though. She would have dearly loved to get another little runner in there, show that combination.
Well, here we go, following some action from Philippa Anderson. So this heat's turning over quite quickly. Ladies are starting to build their wave counts. Bronte's been the most selective on 4 waves. We're looking at 7 waves in the lineup for Hinako Kurokawa. And we're looking at, the same for Philippa Anderson. Judges still doing the catch-ups on the numbers here. It's coming at us thick and fast here. We're into that new round. And looking down the draw to the next heat, Elisa Spencer coming up against Tessa Tyson and Sophie McCulloch. Those ladies are around 8 minutes and 45 seconds away. And right now, Bronte McCauley setting the pace as you would expect.
Yeah, and she started off strong, then went a little bit, was hunting for a wave, and consolidated and actually improved. So, decent total from her. And sticking on these left-handers, as is Anderson.
Well, here goes Miss Anderson. Nice lines being drawn here. Good snap. Drops her head down as she comes out, keeps the board speed going. Is she going to come around the corner and get a last little statement turn on the inside? She'll squeeze it for all it's worth. Just gets a little click, defines the third maneuver. It's not going to shoot the lights out, that score. But it will. Well, here's another question. Will it drop and replace the 3.8?
She's certainly got busier, hasn't she, towards the last few minutes of this heat, and buoyed by the great news of the 6.5. It's got to fire it up and catching waves. So a similar kind of entry. That's a little lateral, certainly compared with her 6.5. There's a nice little hit. Not super convincing, but a nice little tag. And then she tries to get a section going through here. The wave gets pretty small. She gets a little finish on the end.
I like that second maneuver. It was vertical, had some power to it.
Could well be improving on
it does by 0.3. Okay, so we were right. It does improve. 3.8 now replaced by 3.83. Keeps us correct as judges. It's nice to hear that our judging's on track. Nonetheless, we're down to 7 minutes to go. We're having fun with it. It is a long day here. It is day 1 of the QS 10,000. One of 2 QS 10,000s if you're just joining the broadcast, coming to you from beautiful Pantin in the northwest of Spain. Bronte McCauley Championship Tour surfer here doing the QS grind is in the lead in the seat. 617 and a 633 make up that 12.5 on the top of your screen. And off to the left. Now, little surf-off happening between Philippa Anderson and Hinako Kurokawa here with 6.5 to go. Not a big requirement. Hinako Kurokawa needs a 5.61. She hasn't visited that level of scores. Her best a 4.73, so she's got to up the game.
Yeah, just needs to get that wave, doesn't she? Her surf skills definitely look on point, but she just needs to find herself one that stands up. You can just see that the judges rewarded Philippa Anderson with her high score and the heat's high score. That wave stood up really well from takeoff. It was a kind of a late entry on the foam. And as soon as she got to her feet, she had that little double up bowl in front of her. That's exactly the kind of wave Kurakawa needs. She started off going right early on the heat. I just wonder now if she might have a little rethink. She's certainly been favouring the lefts. This woman, the Goog Feet, out of West Oz, she's been favouring the lefts. And she's pretty good value for the lead.
Yeah, but just you see the screen with the wind coming right to left, so that wind's out the north. It's kind of probably blowing a couple of the right-handers a bit flat, Paul. Kind of Pete Mel got stuck into that topic earlier on, that wind tends to just flatten the right-handers a touch, helps this left cup out a little bit. 6:45 in the evening. We're getting pretty close to the high tide mark.
Yeah, we are. And sometimes in here, things can get too high. Actually, this bank's pretty good on the high tide at the moment. There's quite a lot of sand in there. On occasions, we will even have to go on hold around high tide when things can stop breaking. But this left-hander and also right on the back of it, it's quite a bit of sand in there on that little triangle right in front of our setup. So that's helping us make use of even the top of the tide on a big tide day, which is what we got here. And it's just a completely different surf spot from what we were looking at this morning.
Oh, absolutely. You think of 12 feet of tide, it makes the peak that they're surfing now probably 200 yards from the peak that we started on this morning. It's quite bizarre, actually. Still getting my head around how much water moves here in Europe. Let's have a look at movement from Bronte Macaulay. Now, this is a surf to try an upper number. It's not going to happen for Bronte. She knows that she's freewheeling towards the finish of this heat for a win. 6.33 and a 6.17. So you want to kind of see her take off and improve on a number, not waste an effort like that.
I like the attack from her. I think that was a reflection of the fact that probably wasn't another section after that, and that's all she really had on offer. So she went hard at it, but I do like the aggression from her.
Here's Philippa Anderson trying to protect that second place. Nice jam here. Still, we spoke about not a lot of rights being available. This one that Philippa has found has been the same right-hander that Hinaka Kurakawa has been using. Kurakawa not really getting more than 4s out of it. So we'll see if Philippa Anderson ups her numbers. Even if she does go 4s, she's going to improve because Philippa still sits on a 3.83 to make up that 10.33 total. So still the strength of a 6.5. Here's the interesting part. Philippa Anderson actually still has the best individual wave of the heat.
Yep, and going the right-hand option sort of vindicates that decision with a good wave, maybe slightly slower wave possibly than some of the sets on the left in terms of the down-the-line speed, but nice manoeuvre selection. So that first wave was kind of a snapping manoeuvre that sort of stopped herself and just let the wave get in front of her again, then combined into another nice second turn. So judges will be processing that right-hander. Philippa Anderson, who at one point we thought was going to touch quiet, and ever since then she's been super busy. Not only has she nailed the high score of the heat, she's just been super active and looking for any kind of opportunity. So she's definitely up for this clash.
Well, under 3 minutes to go. Philippa Anderson stays in the story. We are waiting that score, but 3-person heats here with first and second advancing to the round of 16. Of course, the loser here at equals 17th place finish. What are we seeing as a value for this one?
I think it's going to be a really nice number. It's a meaty opening section. She's using the rail. It's not going to be as good as our high score, but you think she'd certainly be ditching the backup. And a nice use of rail, nice variety of manoeuvres.
Well, you're on the money, Mr. Paul Evans. A 5.67. There's the judge's opinion. 5 judges on duty. One went as high as a 6.2. The other a flat 5, so highs and lows get lobbed off. The remaining 3 get averaged for the 5.67. Philippa Anderson's going to cement a second place here because Hinako Kurakawa, with under 2 minutes to go, is now chasing a very big number in the context of the lineup, a 7.44 requirement. That's a near excellent category score.
Yeah, she's got a real tall ask here as the clock will tick down. She's been kind of busy. She's ridden 7 waves, but nothing really overly convincing, so she'll probably have one last shot at this. She'll need to go big if possible. The good news, she's got that priority, but that's a pretty big requirement.
Yep, the young surfer from Japan came here to Pantin, ranked 37th on that qualifying series leaderboard. 17th place finish in Huntington Beach is also what she found in the QS 10,000s. We'll just follow the live action here with 1 minute to go. In and out for Bronte McCauley. Let's have a look at the heat recap, because Bronte McCauley has owned this heat pretty much from start to finish. She set the pace going early on. Opened up with that 617. We'll have a look at this heat recap.
Yeah, strong stuff from Bronte. The Western Australian bashing nice and high out of the lip. 6.33 there. Uses the rail for that snap and turn. Then hits the speed, hits the gas. She sees this section a long way off. That is really tight technical surfing. And the judges rewarding that for a really strong finish.
Well, at 6.33, this is how she started. This was her very opening ride. Still featuring in her top 10. This was her opener of the 617. So that pair of sixes for the heat lead from Bronte McCauley. And as you say, she stuck to the left the whole way through this, Paul.
Yep, good opening jam. The wave went softer in the middle. She got a finish. Most of the points coming for that rail work early on. And good enough to put her in a commanding position. And this was the 6.5, the high score we've seen. She's been really impressive. She looks smooth. That's a great turn. Her timing looks so good. And she served really well. She's actually come pretty close. Combined total is 12.17. It's 12.5 for Bronte. So those two Aussies looking really good value down here.
Yeah, as we saw that ride of Philippa Anderson, one of the judges did go as high as a 7 in that. So liking that backhand vertical approach. But the history book is set and done. It will be the two Australians advancing here, and it will be a 17th place finish for our Japanese surfer, Hinako Kurokawa. And let's have a look at this last ride here. This is Bronte McCauley trying to up her numbers, as we saw on the replay and the recap. A 6.33 and a 6.17. A little spin of the tail there, but it's not going to up the numbers. Bronte McCauley will wrap it up with a little victory run to the beach here, and that is how the opening heat of the round 3 is going to wrap up here. So it will be Bronte McCauley, Philippa Anderson through to the final 16. And as you see the beautiful sights of Galicia here, we'll join you with heat number 2 straight after the break.
We chase waves all over the world, but every plane ride has a hidden cost. Flying sends CO2 into the air, warming our ocean and making it more acidic. This harms marine life, especially fragile coral reefs. We will never stop exploring, but there are steps we can all take. By reinvesting our tour's carbon footprint, we will support habitats that safeguard our seas, like investing in projects that slow climate change. This is our commitment for a stronger ocean. What's yours?
Non a violencia de xénero, non a violencia física nin psicolóxica, non a violencia económica nin a sexual, non os abusos sexuais, non o acoso sexual, non a trata de mulleres e nenas explotadas sexualmente, non o maltrato, non o maltratador, porque fronte á violencia de xénero só cabe unha resposta, sen ningún xénero de dúbida. Non.
Welcome back to a long day of action here in beautiful Spain. Galicia, the northwest corner, plays host to the World Surf League's qualifying series. As you see your next heat teed up out in the lineup, Elisa Spencer will take on Tessa Tyson and Sophie McCulloch. So an American, an Australian and a French surfer out in the lineup. And we can tell you that Elisa Spencer has come to the party with a 6.17 early on. As you view the lineup here, if you have a look at this beautiful grassy knoll here, it's played history to 30 years of professional surfing in the northwest of Spain. Of course, so many fond memories for many former professional surfers. A lot of great stories to unfold and that have unfolded in this beautiful area. Of course, Pantin here is the lineup. As you see, this looks like Elisa Spencer. The silhouettes are getting a little stronger now in the later afternoon light. We did mention Elisa Spencer already opening with a 617. That silhouetted look there was her wave number 2. Of course, priority now to the surfer with no waves in the lineup. That lady on screen, young Sophie McCulloch from Australia. It's a very good afternoon from myself, Gig Saliers, alongside Paul Evans for the call. It's been a long day, as you would expect it. They call this the grind, and I'm now really understanding, visiting Pantin, why they call it that.
Yeah, but also a smart move to just use this swell.
Yep.
Had very contestable conditions. The scores have been really high throughout the day. You obviously get those periods in between where, you know, you get little ebbs and flows in terms of the energy and the scores, but pretty good numbers all the way through the day. We're still seeing some great surfing down here.
Yep, absolutely. Second QS 10,000 of the year. Of course, a number of QS 1,000s to follow as the year unfolds. And then, of course, a QS 6,000 to wrap it up on the women's side of qualification for 2019. Lots to talk about here in the upcoming days. Let's talk about Elisa Spencer if we're going to talk about things. A 617 and a 313 in for the American, who sits in that top 10 picture on the qualifying series. She'll need to go a couple of slots higher. And as I say, now the worst she can do is finish equal 17th. She'll want more than that. Of course, Elisa Spencer finishing 9th in Huntington Beach in the first QS 10,000 of the year. Also a 9th in Sydney in pretty small conditions, kind of similar to today. We'll see how Elisa Spencer fares here. She takes on Tessa Tyson. Tyson, of course, getting a couple of good backhand snaps in the earlier rounds this morning, Paul. She's found a 317 in the lineup thus far.
Yeah, she's looking sharper to me from what I've seen so far down here. She looks really focused and ready to take on some of the best surfers in the world. Really impressed with their performance this morning. And also, of course, Sophie, who surfed really well, put on a great show. So all of these surfers will have a little bit of a read of the lineup by now. But these ever-changing conditions, just asking different questions.
Absolutely. Lady in white, Sophie McCulloch from Australia, has found a 5, meanwhile transitioning down the beach to a wave number 3 here. Look at the speed being generated here by Elisa Spencer. Great snap there. Good surfing. Will see herself drop maybe the 313. And that was spicy surfing in the afternoon light here. And now into wave number 2. And a little give way there with the higher priority belonging to Sophie McCulloch. Tessa Tyson had to just avoid almost making some contact there. McCulloch through the inside, soupy section. And, well, she'll hang on to it. It'll be a grind. And a couple of nice points will come out of that. As we mentioned, she did open with a 5.
Really, really impressive.
Yep.
I love the way she keeps that speed, just drilling down the line. To Tessa Tyson looked a little bit too interested into that wave than she probably should have done, given the priority situation. Let's hope nothing untoward went on. She didn't seem from here to impede anything, but she doesn't really want to be getting that involved, particularly when the surfer with the priority is already up and riding, heading towards you. There really is not much to be gained from having a speculative look.
Well, love the angles from the team here. As you see Tessa Tyson get going on her campaign. Wave number 4 now for Tessa Tyson. Not much to report with that. It's going to be a little throwaway score for now, though. It is going to become a counter. But I say that because Tessa Tyson was sitting on a 1-pointer in her top 2. Of course, early stages here, 30-minute heats. This one's still plenty of time to go.
Yeah. Loads on the clock, these half-hour heats, and just, of course, 3 athletes in the water at the moment as well, so more opportunity being afforded. Things do slow up a little all around the high tide. Let's check the replay here of Tessa. Just kind of missed that first section, really, and she'll redirect on a low line and just pull through the back, so no real opportunity for her. Interestingly, she's got the spring suit, so she's got long arm, short leather, long arm spring, so she's not feeling the cold.
Well, water temperatures around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's around 16 degrees centigrade, maybe 15-ish. So there's a little bite to the water. Let's go back and have a look at that first exchange. This was the 617 early in here, Paul.
Elisa Spencer ripping off the top. There's another nice, gets loads of board through the lip, and then a little redirect off the rail. The wave gets small here. She'll go on a little speed hunt through the inside and stab it one more time. So Good value for 617. Meanwhile, Sophie McCulloch, a nice right-hander. That's a great hit. Love the amplitude in that turn. Unfortunately, from her point of view, no second maneuver.
Well, she did fetch her 5 for that. So good, solid approach to the lip. It seems like in conditions like this, it's a fairly obvious statement. Anytime you can get vertical and near a lip, you're just going to cash in points.
Yeah, definitely. And even when you see those kind of one maneuver sections, the surfers realise that, so they kind of put that little bit more into it as well. I like the way she carried her momentum into that turn.
Well, wind strong out of the north here, creating these brushed side shore conditions here as Elisa Spencer continues through the inside track. That is a heavy-hitted turn right there, and that is going to blow her 313 as a counting score right out of the scorecard. And that, wow, maybe one of the single best maneuvers of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And she absolutely smashed that. We were really impressed this morning the way she was fitting in those tight radius arcs. And this wave looked great, even from the takeoff. You see the way this stands up just outside the bowl. That means she can get a little check back, swoop and turn and set up. And then she gets a real steep section, loads of speed here, holds it on the bottom.
Wow.
And just sat up and just begged for the treatment, didn't it?
Well, we'll wait to confirm that number. Thinking that might be a previous score of a 583 that's now entered the scorecard. Judges still working. We are calling interference. Remember that we got stuck into that little discussion. We were querying, why did Tessa Tyson paddle and show so much interest on Sophie McCulloch's wave? We do pick up an paddle interference. We may even try and pull the tape back for, it'll show on the last wave of white. So we'll have a look and see if we can get a little gander at that. Remember, we were like almost like, why is blue paddling with so much authority when there is a higher priority to Sophie McCulloch? So now the penalty in place.
Really, really silly. And she'll be kicking herself when she watches this back. She must have not realised, maybe misunderstood the priority situation. It seemed relatively clear, of course, to us in here. We got it on the screen. There is a big LED display as well for our athletes that show them. Nevertheless, in the heat of battle, maybe she just didn't realise the situation, but just got too involved in that wave.
Well, the other comment just to make is you mentioned the LEDs. It's quite a horizontal sun angle that's coming in. It might be a little bit dulling on the LEDs. We'll get some feedback into that. Meanwhile, Elisa Spencer is waiting for a score because she has slammed an oncoming section, an absolute quality turn. We'll wait and see what number comes for that. Elisa Spencer, wave number 4 is going to be a banger, we speculate.
Yeah, well, the bad news for Tessa Tyson, she's only going to score one wave. She'll completely lose a score. So she will score one wave. So if she's going to get through in second place in this heat, she already can't get first because Alyssa's already on 12 points and she's due a really good score as well. So if Sophie McCulloch can get past 10, Tessa Tyson cannot do anything about that. She's still got a slim chance, but that's going to be a really costly error, we think.
Well, we were crooning on about that last ride of Elisa Spencer. And we're starting to see, again, one of those top-end scores starting to filter in from the panel of 5. One judge has gone 9.3. Wow. Great number. We want to have a look at that again. A 9-pointer is going to find its way to the lady in red's scorecard. Meanwhile, this is Sophie McCulloch, who all she has to do now is replace a 4 with a 5 or more, and she's going to block out Tessa Tyson completely from the lineup in 2019 here.
Yeah, so Sophie going all the way in on that wave in this evening sunshine down here. And, well, the story, 2 stories really in this heat. A massive number for Spencer, 9-point ride, that's huge. And then the interference on Tessa Tyson. This is another look at Sophie McCulloch, the wave she just got. She'll let this one stand up and then redirect out of the lip. Got a little kind of soft lip to hit. And then she kicked up a little backhand snap. Almost got a little caught there on the redirect, but does well to just drill through another maneuver on the inside. Oh, she's comboed for first. She won't be worried about that. Of course, surfers 1 and 2 advancing.
Well, the negative of that last wave of Sophie McCulloch is that wave never really stood up and pushed back at her, right? So she kind of stayed in that real working mode, trying to just squeeze whatever she could out of that. We'll see where the scorecard goes. Yep, it's a 317, so she's not going to block Tessa Tyson off just yet. And we speculate that might still come our way with a little under 17 minutes to go, but approaching now the halfway mark in the heat. Let's have a look at Tessa Tyson here, who is going to continue to surf, but I mean, she's really on the hunt for a perfect score.
Nice little sort of drifty, cool jam for the second to last manoeuvre, and then an incomplete manoeuvre on the end there for Tessa Tyson. So she's going to stay in the lineup and surf. It might get to a point where McCulloch goes into double figures or past a 10, in which case it's numerically impossible for Tessa to advance.
Well, young Sophie McCulloch sitting 20th on the qualifying series. Tessa Tyson sitting at 25th. And, well, someone that will want to fetch as many points out of this visit to Spain as possible is Bronte McCauley. She's through to the round of 16. She's down there with Shannon Quirk.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Bronte McCauley. Second interview of the day. You've won both your heats. It's got to give you a lot of confidence moving on through the next round.
Yeah, for sure. It's always nice to get through those heats, and it's kind of a long day when you've got one first thing or pretty early in the morning, then one at like whatever time it is now, 6:30. So yeah, it's nice just to make heats on the first day.
Sure. What equipment did you choose to ride today? It looks like it's working well for you.
Yeah, thanks so much. I just rode a Darren Hanley 5.7, just a regular shortboard really. I wasn't really sure whether to ride like a small waveboard or not, but this did the job. So yeah, I was stoked. I rode it my first heat too, and it went well. So probably keep riding it for the rest of the comp.
All right. Well, if that's working out, then keep it going. And conditions might get a little bit smaller and bigger, so we'll see. Did you bring a big quiver from Australia?
Yeah, I'm actually away for 2 months. We go straight to the Surf Ranch and then back to Europe for France and Portugal. So I pretty much have everything with me. So I've got, I don't know how many boards, maybe 8 or 9 boards with me. So yeah, I've got it covered hopefully for the next few days.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll take it back to you guys. Bronte McCauley, moving through.
Thanks so much. Have a good sleep.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
So a nice little catch up there with Life on Tour with Bronte McCauley.
Yep, and one of the challenges, of course, making sure you got the magic boards in the quiver. Of course, her dad, pretty handy shaper himself. She's opting for the DHD equipment. And it definitely does seem to be working for us. So busy schedule for her, a couple of months away from home. This such a crucial event in terms of qualifying, of course, and then the big 3 CTs coming up for us. So pivotal moment in the season, the fall time.
Yeah, well, Bronte sitting 11th on the Jeep leaderboard will be looking to a strong run through not only the event in Lemoore, the Freshwater Pro, but then back, as we mentioned, to the beaches of France. France, your home, Paul Evans. Just under 14 minutes to go here. Spencer out front with the 617. And we'll ask the boys, we'll just hint if we can get a look at that 9. It is the last, previous wave of Elisa Spencer. I'm not sure if the boys will be able to track it. Nonetheless, we'll get it on the heat recap later on. But a 9-pointer in the lineup with absolute gold here. Spencer is definitely on her way to the next round as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the draw matches up. If Bronte McCauley and Elisa Spencer end up in the same heat. And a little look of the lineup here with Tessa Tyson back on screen. She's one of those strong stances, keeps the board moving here. Lots of spray, lots of speed underfoot for the surfer from Guadalupe. And that was a good strong hit there. Nice from Tessa Tyson. It's kind of like just, we're accepting the fact that she's stuck down in that third place position with the priority interference. So it's going to be a tough run nonetheless for Tessa Tyson.
Yeah, and, well, it's frustrating, isn't it? You think of surfer of her caliber and her skill set, and what she could have done in these lefts. She looked really good this morning. And just that brain freeze, just that kind of like miniature moment of madness is costing us so big. She's only going to score on one wave. We saw it happen earlier today to Nikki Van Dijk. But it's frustrating to see our athlete basically kind of got no chance, really. You're going to lose an entire score. You're only really ever going to count at 50%. This is how good she surfs, though. Really sharp on that forehand, loads of power. But she is only going to count one number. Still technically possible for her. And we're going to have a look at the last wave of Elisa Spencer as she'll just whip and slice around into that gorgeous evening sunshine. Nice big hit off the top from her. Love the rhythm to her surfing. already got a 9 in the bag, and that's a pretty decent right-hander.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in an afternoon where this northerly wind is sideshore and sort of patting those right-handers a bit flat, that was one of those right-handers that just kept giving and giving. So much so that she may very well replace the score here. Remember that she had a 617 at the start of the heat, and now it is replaced, upper slice, up to a 653. So momentum still in favour of Elisa Spencer here with 11.5 to go.
Yeah, so Elisa just really in the ascendancy down here, putting on a bit of a masterclass. Another massive total as well. It's really encouraging to see those kind of numbers. We're not surprised by it though, of course. 10,000. This is the elite level in terms of qualification. They don't come any bigger than this. So we've got all that talent coming down, and the best qualifiers as well. And the performances, well, you can just expect them to get better throughout the week down here. But that 9-point ride just sitting up as a great reference point, even right towards the end of the day, really validating the decision to run through the high tide.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, if you're going to cap some highlights for the day, then that certainly is going to be one of them. Of course, Suzuki a little earlier on, also into the 9s. So we're getting some excellent category scores coming out of it all. 10.5 now on the clock. Remember, 30-minute heat, so down now to the final third as that clock just continues to tick away. Tessa Tyson, a 4.87 in the lineup, so she's upping her heat score, so to speak. Still not out of it. A 9 will see her go into that second place position. Right now we feel that Sophie McCulloch should just be finding another number in the lineup as we look at Tessa Tyson here.
Yeah, well, pushing it really late behind a section. She needs to get a 9 or better. She needs at least a 9. If she got a 9 at the moment and things ended like this, she'd be on equal score, but she'd actually advance by having the higher single wave. The Sophie McCulloch's got a 4 and a 5 to give her a combined total of 9. But you probably beat, with all this time left on the clock, a surfer of Sophie's calibre, you'd probably expect her to improve.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just watching how our cameras are getting a good shakedown again, because that wind has come up again. We've noticed this wind also change angles a couple of times. Went slight offshore, now it's slight cross onshore, so it does seem to move through the compass a little bit here. I know that looking down the forecast through the rest of the week, winds do tend to tack a little bit more offshore from tomorrow onwards. But you'll know more about the wind conditions than I in the area, Paul.
Yeah, we've had a little squiz at the forecast, haven't we? And we're trying to sort of work it out. You can always maybe just take that wind forecast with a little bit of a pinch of salt as well. But this is pretty much exactly what they predicted for today. Similar stuff for tomorrow. We're maybe thinking slightly windier towards the end of the week. Might have a little bit of a storm blowing up, but that's some way off yet. We'll just keep monitoring that. But nothing particularly untoward today, really, relatively speaking. You know, beach break conditions, end of summer. It's pretty standard. There's nothing unusual having onshore wind in the afternoon, but it ripped through this morning towards the low tide and then it calmed down straight away. Yep. And now, yeah, there's texture out there, but still really highly contestable. Some great points on offer.
I'm wondering if this little wind gust is not linked to the actual high tide itself. Yep, just over 6 hours ago we hit the low, so it's pretty much there. Explains the wind behavior again.
Yep, and just focusing on this inside bank though, so that texture allowing to go out of the wave and sort of smooth things out on this inside as we see action from Tessa.
Well, Tessa just chucks at the lip twice. A little bit of body language there telling the story of a surfer that has to carry that penalty of a missing score. So paddle interference was blue on white all the way back in the first half of the heat. So it really is a case of Tessa Tyson having to fetch a 9 and the story of Sophie McCulloch not improving a score. We'll wait and see how this remaining 7.5 plays out. Meanwhile, Elisa Spencer is just quietly going to try and pick another gem in the lineup. So she created that 9-pointer on one of the left-handers. Of course, Elisa Spencer, 10th on the qualifying series. Got a 9th in Huntington Beach. So she's easily now through to the round of 16. Of course, Spencer in smaller conditions got a 9th at the QS 6000 in Sydney as well, losing in round 4 to Caroline Marks. So watch for that name, Elisa Spencer. Could finish top 6 come year end.
Yeah, definitely. And she's looked really strong here today. I just think That short board that she's riding seems to really fit the sharp transitions at the end of this wave. A little bit more push than you might think out here. And if you're going to hit that end section, it's quite a tight radius. You need to fit your turn in. We noticed that this morning, how well she was going from loads of down the line speed into an aggressive lip hit. That's exactly what she's done here. Even more so, actually, in a much more pronounced kind of left-hand bolt situation. And looking really good value for the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just kind of thinking through what Elisa Spencer has to do to qualify in 2019. If we look at the current rankings, as we mentioned, she is sitting 10th. You look at the points value of it. Elisa Spencer sitting on 10,420 points. So you want to get up into that 15,000 point come year end. I would imagine we'll actually ask Al Hunt with 2 QS 10,000s on the draw this year, where that cutoff is speculated to be. I would imagine that you may very well see Spencer come year end knocking right at that door for qualification.
Yeah, definitely. And so much can happen down here at this event in Pantin towards giving that qualification campaign a real shot. Of course, the second 10,000 of the year for the women here. And a great opportunity to really make some strides. It's cool that we're seeing, obviously, into September now, and we're talking about qualification, but also just uncovering a load of that talent as well. And that's another side to the story that's seen today. I think, aside from getting away from scores and those kind of performances on the waves themselves, I think the Japanese talent pool, the push we've seen from them, that's been one of the stories of the day as well, Giggs.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking, looking at Elisa Spencer's name, Elisa Cuizon, we lost her. And to me, that was a sad moment for her, because really in conditions like we've got on offer this week, you would think that would have been a fantastic opportunity for Cuizon to snatch another whole pile of points and back herself up.
Yeah, it's brutal, the QS. Of course, there is no safety cushion. You don't get an advancing spot in your heat, you're done.
Well, let's have a look at the heat recap. We've been yarning on, but it has been Elisa Spencer that really has set the pace for this. 6.53 and a 9. This was the 9, Paul. What a slam.
Absolutely smashed that thing on there. And such a critical turn. Her board looking so sharp with loads of bite. And then the 6.53 that she backed out. A completely different kind of wave, much more spread out. The projection is down the line, and she goes off the bottom into the lip. The timing is sweet. She doesn't need to do so much. When she's got the speed and the timing, and the section's nice and steep, she can just offer her board up to the lip. So really good backup for her.
Then strong work in the lip there for Sophie McCulloch, who really is still on a heat score total of 9, made up of a 5 and a 4. And, mathematically still has not shut the door on her opponent, who is carrying that priority.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that she hasn't improved. She's had those scores for a long time. They were her first 2 waves that she rode in this. That was a long time ago now, and she hasn't found anything to improve since then. So, at the moment, technically, Tyson is still in with a shot, but she still needs a 9-point ride. She basically needs the same score we saw Spencer nail.
Yep. So it's not over till it's over. Just seeing this northerly wind, just having a good old puff now on the high tide mark. I'm looking out beyond the bay, and there's a lot of white horses out there. And of course, ever reliable is this lineup here in Pantin. You called it the factory. What's the local word for it?
La Factoria.
Oh, okay. All right. It's not very complicated. Even I can understand that. So the La Factoria here just keeps burping out waves through the high tide. Now under 3 minutes to go. Spencer leads, McCulloch second, and Tyson still in with the shot. They've moved down the beach here a little bit as well. Just looking at the camera angle here, Paul. He has a lot of white water for the roll-in. And as you mentioned, not seen any points come that lady's way. Sophie McCulloch in now close to half an hour.
Yeah, it's been a long, long wait for her. She had a look at that one. She tried everything to get on it, and it just didn't want her. So that wave unable to convert. Nevertheless, even though technically Tyson's in with a chance, it's going to be a really big number that she needs. And as time ticks away, you've got to say, that's going to be quite a tall ask.
Well, just watching a little interaction here between our surfers. First priority does belong to the heat leader. So Tessa Tyson all the way down in that third priority as well. So really not much leaning in her favour here as we hit the 2-minute mark. There is heat leader on screen. And you would just think that Elisa would want to try and improve the 6.53. Here she's going to have a go at it. Into the wind she goes. Board speed carrying. Nice little jam there. This wave is continuing to bowl on the fuller tide. Tracking nicely. Shuffles that foot. You just saw a little bit of foot placement change there. Now shifts again. That back foot moves around as she comes through to the inside. What about another little slam here? Just gets a little spike. And I'll tell you what, that is a wave that really Sophie McCulloch would have loved to have as we see her appear on screen. We'll have a look at the opening part of Sophie McCulloch's wave. I'm not feeling that would be a major. But now, does a 6.53 get replaced with that last wave of Elisa Spencer?
Could well be under threat, couldn't it? I love the way she carried the speed from that opening snap. She got a massive spray. And while that spray was exploding off the top of the wave, she was already projecting down the line, eyeing up another section. Everything was linked together really cleanly. Very little downtime on that wave. She kept the board on the rail. The speed was up. The intensity was there. It's great aggression. And it's not hard to love this woman surfing. She's been really, really impressive today. Opening day of this QS 10,000 here, as you see. And the aggression and the spark in the surfing. The kind of key words for me. And just taking it to the lip. Now she'll go into a little rail jam. But everything is down the line with speed. There's impetus the whole way. And she even finishes with a little combo there. A nice tag. And then just a little hit right on the end. But a really well surfed wave, and I reckon she's going to threaten a backup score.
Well, threaten it she does. She now slots in a 7.3 just to wrap up a very well-managed heat. And what I'm taking away from that performance of Elisa Spencer is that she's got some metal in her, and I'm thinking that she's going to be definitely a major threat at this event.
Absolutely. What a statement performance from her. What a way to not only get through your heat, just lay down a bit of a marker and a massive heat total. Again, we've got the highest heat total. That record just keeps getting beaten throughout the day. 16.3 is a huge number.
A 9 and a 7.3 for this lady on screen, showing us why she is sitting at that number 10 on the current qualifying series rankings. She's going to sail her way into the round of 16 here at the QS 10,000 in Spain. Let's have a look at those results. That is now official. It's in the history books. Sophie McCulloch's going to survive it. She did not find another score other than her first and second rides, Paul. Nonetheless, it is enough to survive the round care of the interference of Tessa Tyson. And we will wrap that and now bring in heat number 4, the final heat of the day. Stay with us here. It's beautiful Pantin in Spain.
The crew here at the WSL are taking some major steps to protect our ocean. We're offsetting our carbon footprint, cutting out single-serve plastics from our events, and committing to leave every beach better than we found it. Because no action is too small, and if all of us pledge to do something every day, we can make big changes for the ocean and our planet. This is our pledge to stop trashing waves. What's yours?
Four seasons in one day as you join us now for a new heat on deck. 2 more heats to wrap up the day's proceedings here. So for good afternoon as you catch up with Isabella Nichols taking on Macy Callahan and Canal Bullard in a 30-minute heat. Welcome back to the broadcast. Gig Saliers alongside Peter Mel for the call in Pantin in Spain. And just a small score to catch up on things. A 4.67 in early for Isabella Nichols. As we greet you with a very late afternoon. In fact, we could let's change our greeting, Pete. Good evening.
Good evening. It is definitely evening. Early evening, but it is evening. 7:30, it's dinner time.
For most of us, yeah.
Not in Europe.
For the Spanish, they're just finishing lunch.
Yes, this is true. I mean, Paul had mentioned that kind of afternoon vibe. I just did a little trot down the beach. The crowd is doubled in the evening. So it's a happy hour. Everyone comes down here to watch the sunset and catch some waves.
A great contest layout as well behind us here, Pete. The cerveja, all the beer on tap. Of course, very festive. Lots of great foods. And it really is, you mentioned, Pete, it really is thumping. And being west-facing here, it is that typical West Coast approach, you know.
Come down, enjoy the evening.
Yep, absolutely.
Replay here, Isabella Nichols, pair of 4.57s. 4.67 and a 4.57. That was the 4.67. So quickly out of the gates for Isabella Nichols. Here's the replay of that last one, which came in just a tenth of a point less. So she goes left and then goes right. So really quickly she puts it together. Now she can build from there.
Yep, well, two scores built completely differently as well. Isabella Nichols goes both directions for very similar category scores. We'll leave Macy Callahan out there with a priority. We're looking very keenly to see how the red jersey performs in this particular heat. Of course, Macy Callahan in that championship tour role this year, sitting 16th on the Jeep leaderboard. So turning her focus here to the qualifying series, big opportunity in Spain. Of course, Macy, she's only 18 years of age. You know, you kind of think of her, she's been around a while. She won that World Junior title a number of years back. And, well, of course, really put her hand up early as a professional surfer.
So true. You know, and again, utilizing that junior series to kind of hone those skills at this level. You know, there's, again, very similar judging panel. It's going to be there for the junior series, same judging criteria, same formats. You know, you look at the junior championships, it literally is built the exact same way as a championship tour event is. They have the same kind of pattern as, format. So you can learn a lot through that junior series.
Well, that junior series really all showcased her earlier on. So she got that opportunity as a wild card in Trestles back in 2017 already. And then in 2018 became a replacement surfer, surfing 7 out of the 10 events last year as replacement.
Gaining a ton of experience. Yep. And now sits, like I said, with this first year on tour, full on. She's got a string of 9ths and some 17ths. She really needs to crack those quarterfinals. So she will be trying to back up her ranking right now at that 16th. It's definitely outside of that cut line, and she has some work to do. But so that's why she is here participating in this event, making sure that she's going to keep herself on tour for next season.
And lest we forget, Macy Callahan made the finals of the Roxy Pro last year as a replacement surfer. Let's have a look at her. She gets her campaign underway here. It's taken 6 minutes to find the opening ride here for former World Junior champion. Nice slam right there. Nice leverage. She's a tall surfer. She gets a lot of muscle into those turns. So nice points on the inside section for Macy Callahan, who will finally now join the scorecard.
Very strong final maneuver there. Take a look at the replay front on. First section, set up snap, kind of negotiating the wind bumps. But as you see here, this was the one section. She really hammers it, tags it perfectly, accelerates out of the maneuver. That's when you know that you hit it the right time with the right technique. So Macy will get a number rivaling her competitors.
Well, she'll be sitting quite low down on the qualifying series. No real results to talk about on the QS side of things for Macy Callahan.
Yeah, so her season has been a rough first half.
Yep.
She's really made a few heats, getting out of those first rounds, but not able to get past the round of, round of 16 for the women. So it's in 9th place. You have to break into those quarters and semis, finals to really solidify a spot on the championship tour. So difficult to do.
Well, think of the other World Junior champion in Isabella Nichols sitting at the top of the qualifying series. So you're almost thinking with the points already amassed by Isabella Nichols that she was going to qualify. If we look at those numbers, it's around 14,000, 15,000 for the lead at the top of the qualifying series right now. Macy Callahan, how far down?
48th.
Ooh.
So she has a result, a counting result. The Vans U.S. Open, she was able to get 17th in that inaugural 10K. But back from that, she had a 17th place in Merriweather at Surf there, the Holmes Civil Developments Pro. She withdrew from an event, I think from an injury that she was in, but then withdrew, so no points there. And then the Sydney's Women's Pro, which was another QS 6000. So she's been focusing her energy on the championship tour, which is good. And then hitting those bigger events, which, again, the QS 10,000 and the QS 6000.
Inside slam with a single maneuver for Canal Bullard. Will get her scorecard a wave number 3. Prior to that, just a pair of 1s. As we pick up on the outside, late afternoon Latia. That's a good backhand attack going down now for Macy Callahan's wave number 2. So the tall Australian, of course, 2 Australians in Macy Callahan and Isabella Nichols out in the lineup. But Macy, wave number 2 is going to join her 5.5. We saw a very quick start for Isabella Nichols, by the way. I mean, that was literally the first 90 seconds of the heat. We got those pair of 4.5s in.
Strategically good. You want to get out there, get 2 quick waves, but then it allows you to be a bit more patient, a bit more selective. You start to utilize priority. You see that she has the P next to her name. So what it does is it starts you in the order right away. I mean, obviously, you catch a wave, you really would love to start out with an excellent ride or an 8, but a 4 is a good start.
Yep.
She was straight out there, got the second wave of 4, just to make sure that she's going to, get those 2 numbers in. Then she waited for the priority, which she's carrying now, and now wants to select a high-quality wave.
Well, that was a priority error there. Canal Bullard was in second priority. Now, when you paddle for a wave, you don't catch it, you lose the priority, Pete.
Yeah, and it's there is a priority judge that is solely giving out your turn.
That's all he's monitoring.
I mean, we touch back to the last heat we called with Summer Macedo, where she had made that error with Joanne Defay. And she came up to me and she asked me, "Oh, hey, did you call that heat?" And I said, "Yeah, I was in there." She's like, "Did I not have priority?" And I said, "No, you had third priority. Joanne had second." And she said she looked up the board and she could have sworn that she saw her priority above Joanne, but in reality, it was below it.
Well, Paul and I got into a little chat about that as well, Pete, about the angle of the sun in the late afternoon against that illumination. Let's talk more about all of that because Elisa Spencer has set the tone with a 9 and a 7.3. She's easily into the round of 16. Let's hear from her. She's with Shannon Quirk.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Alyssa Spencer, who just won yet another heat. And wow, you put some points on the board. Walk me through that 9.0.
Yeah, that one was super fun wave. It just kind of had a little bowl to it, and I got a couple of really fun turns.
Well, you have a big smile. It seems like you're having a lot of fun. How's your mentality going out there? You said you were just going to have a good time?
Yeah, going into this event, I'm not really putting any pressure on myself to, make a certain round I don't know. I haven't really put too much pressure on myself, and I just want to go out there and have fun and surf and, enjoy it while I'm here. So, yeah.
And what do you think the trick was to finding that 9.0? A lot of the scores today, you've seen a lot of girls going on a lot of waves. You were a little bit more selective.
Yeah, before I went out, I was watching it for a while with my dad, and we just figured out where the waves were coming from, and I kind of used the whole playing field. I went in a lot of different spots, but found that one, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, almost comboing the field. Nice work. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, back to you guys.
Much Elisa Spencer setting a high level there in her round 3 heat 2. And Pete, what I liked about what Elisa Spencer said there is you've kind of got to just watch literally the 15 minutes before your heat and then go to work. You can sit here 2 hours before the lineup's going to change.
I think that if you position yourself in one full day and watch the entire day and understand that what tides are doing happening and then go in before your heat, that'll tell you where the banks are at different tides, and so you can make adjustments. But ultimately, yeah, because you'll know that in the beginning of your heat, if you're watching that 15 minutes, where to be, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be the same place at the end of the heat. So that's where the the time spent on the beach watching as the transition of tides is so important because you can make an adjustment in the middle of the heat. Replay here. Canal Boulard. Nice combination of maneuvers there. Going to be similar probably to her last wave.
Yep. Pete having a look. Look, either way, she's going to ditch a 1.93 out of it. And I think, it's going to be very close to her previous. 3.97 in now. Plays against her previous of a 3.83 as you just see the late afternoon light there. And the outline of Macy Callahan down now to 17 minutes to go. And Canal Boulard as well, a young talent coming out of the French beaches. We're seeing more and more surfers out of that region. Of course, I mean, the pace has been set. There's no secret that the French have a lot of talent. But certainly on the ladies' side, there's a whole new crop of youngsters coming through.
Yeah, and it's great to see. There's, globally the push that's been happening. The equality and prize money has been a helpful kind of motivator for a lot of the women. And even the youngsters, they're like, oh, okay, I can see a career path for me here. And I see it just growing exponentially over the next couple of years. And you'll see, an influx of youngsters. I was mentioning to Paul about the Ladybirds that happened in that event in the Wave Basin in Texas. And 16 years old, 15 years old, the youngsters just going above the lip. And so the future, in my eyes, is very, very bright. Even at our local beaches, I could see some of the women that are lighting it up there. It's been fun to watch.
No doubt women's surfing is on the front foot, so to speak. Of course, it could be natural or goofy when I say that. You like that?
I do. Very nice.
You like
Giggsy.
that?
Very nice, Giggsy. At the end of the day, very sharp.
I know, right? I mean, it's been a long grind. Of course, a multitude of heats we've got through here this afternoon. And, of course, we got going at around 9:30 this morning. So a marathon run here for day one in Pantin.
When you think about round of 60 start, got done with that, then went into the round of 48, which was all the top seeds. And now we're into the round of 24. So 3 rounds. I mean, these first 4 heats, these surfers conceivably, they started out in the early rounds like, Philippa Anderson. She surfed Hinako Kurokawa. Did she end up surfing twice? Nope. I think she started.
Kurokawa surfed.
I don't think she surfed in the very first round, though.
No, it started round 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, but like example being is that there were some surfers that Philippa Anderson put in.
Yep, 3 heats today.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, it's a lot. That's 3 half-hour heats, or, the first rounds were 25 minutes, but it's a big day, especially putting in the time at the beach. Got the wind blowing, the cold water. Talking to John, he was just out there for a free surf, and he's saying it's as cold as Santa Cruz right now. And that's pretty chilly. Yeah, that's probably 62 degrees Fahrenheit, and what is that in?
Yeah, about 16 degrees centigrade.
16 centigrade, yeah. So that's
chilly.
That's 3 mil.
That'll chill your bones.
Yeah, 3 mil and contemplate boots at that point.
And then you end up in a heat like this where you end up sitting for some time. You're getting sort of some 5-6 minute slots where the ladies are just sitting. You're going to cool down pretty quickly in this wind.
Yeah, that's true. So you have to figure out ways to stay warm, keep riding waves, stay engaged in the heat. It'd be easy, to have that tire, that fatigue come in and start to kind of play a bit on your patience.
Yep. Well, holding priority on screen, Canal Boulard, but a third priority being used here. Some experience in the lineup here, Isabella Nichols. It's going to be a substandard wave. She'll go back to the drawing board. I was just going to prelude to that priority being held by Canal Boulard there. It's a young French surfer. Sits 22nd on the qualifying series. And I just make reference to a very successful visit to that QS 6000, the Holmes Civils Pro. As I say, a semi-finals there in kind of beachy break conditions over on the east coast of Australia. So watch for Canal Boulard here, maybe a potential upset against the higher profiles of the 2 Australians. Center of screen here. There is Boulard, little snap, but an error. She can't make those errors against Macy Callahan and Canal Boulard. There goes your heat leader. Macy through to the inside. The high tide really forcing everything right in on the inside now. So slightly shorter rides. This one's got a little bit of a feed on it. Macy Callahan trying to keep the numbers up from a 5-2-3 there. Wave number 4 for Macy.
Well, the pair of fives has Macy out front now. She took a little bit to get those fives, but overtook Isabella with the pair of fours. Let's take a look at the replay here. I don't believe that this will surpass her earlier scores. First turn was nice, but then there's got a bit of froth, which can be difficult to keep the speed up. But she did well to get the finish move. I just don't see it going, there wasn't enough spark in the maneuvers for me to get above that 5-3 we already have in the scoreline. Then again, I'm not a judge.
No.
I just analyze.
Yeah, that's all good. That's all good. Well, that first priority now being used by Isabella Nichols in the lineup. So it's a short, repetitive little left. And we saw Canal Bullard turn her focus to the right-hander. You mentioned how those rights are very often patted flat by the wind going cross-shore across it.
It definitely takes away the vertical face. You got the angle of swell that kind of unfortunately plays a role in that. You see it's moving kind of on the right to your screen to the left, and it kind of pushes out to sea slightly, whereas you get that against the grain effect, I guess, for the lefts.
Yep.
So it has a little bit more lip and definitely the wind pushing over the top of it, so you can get that kind of vertical approach occasionally.
Well, we saw that in the last heat with Elisa Spencer going to a 9. Let's have a look here at Macy Callahan. Nice little snap there, drops that shoulder. Now opens the wingspan and does a nice, concise smash on the inside. Here's those rights that we speculated might be running a little bit flat, but this one's going to work out just dandy for Isabella Nichols, who shows a lot of energy there as we go under the 11-minute mark.
Well,
that's a nice exchange.
Yeah, and Canal is going to be behind here because there's improvements both for Isabella Nichols as well as Macy Callahan in my eyes. We're going to see Macy's best wave come in as well as Isabella. So it's going to make it that much tougher for Canal Bullard. Bonus of this whole thing is that she has 10.5 minutes, and she's up and riding.
Well, back to live action here. And those little errors are going to continue to creep in here for Canal Bullard. Unnecessary errors too. We feel that there's enough time left. She doesn't need to absorb this pressure. She needs to perform through it. And we'll see how the young French surfer fares. But no doubt we'll wait for those two scores for the two respective Australians.
Well, we'll get a replay of it. Macy was able to produce 3 solid backhand maneuvers. Isabella, we caught her into her last 2 maneuvers. I think those were probably her 2.
Yep.
But she was able to get the little drift out of the top, showing us a little bit something different that we haven't seen from her in this heat. Her 2 best waves were going left. Or actually, no, I guess the second wave was a right. So she has kept her eyes open for it. First, we're going to look at, this is Isabella's wave. First maneuver here, good attack to the lip, straight to the bottom, drifts the fins for the second maneuver. That one feels like it's going to be, like I said, her best wave. And then here, this score is already in for Macy. It does go into our top 2. Struggled on that first maneuver, but puts it together here. The best maneuver right there. Underneath it for the closeout. Finish on the sand.
5.6. So Macy Callahan did replace the score. And Isabella Nichols, Pete, is going to get a 6-5 for that forehand attack. Just 2 turns, loaded them nicely. And the current qualifying series leader now takes the heat lead here. And back in the lineup already with priority as we hit the 9 minutes to go. Small lead though, just a 0.07. So nice tight heat here between Isabella Nichols and Macy Callahan. 11.17 plays the 11.1. So not much in it. Macy Callahan, 5.58 requirement. As you see a couple of stronger lines here. Of course, it's now being quite strongly backlit, so they'll look a little bigger than what they may be. Nonetheless, here goes your new heat leader, and Isabella Nichols trying to now ditch her opening score, still in her top 2. Just plays with the whitewater there. Just mechanically drops the head. And not going to finish off with a huge spark on the inside, so we'll question if she's going to replace a 4.67 on that. But plenty of time to do that with well over 8 to go.
Looking at the rankings and where Isabella sits, obviously at the top of the QS rankings. Her low score is a 1,680. So just by making this round, she's going to be adding points to her total. So she's done her job by coming here at this 10K and adding points to the total. But obviously doesn't want to stop right here. She wants to keep moving and extend that lead. So watch the replay here. Backhand hook. Look at the adjustment. Staying tight to the whitewater. because that's where that critical section will unfold for her. So she can see that adjustment. Little whip.
Well, she's going to equal her opener before 6-7, Pete. So right on it. Ooh. Meanwhile, picking up live action with Macy Callahan again. Well, just got the tail end of that big vertical stab at the end. Kind of got her body weight right in underneath that turn. So strong accent to that finish.
Well, and that's commitment. When you can put the board above your hips or above your head fully, like she did there, that attempt. See what she did on the outside section first. Just setting it up. Upside down, you get that nose above the hips. That's commitment. So the judges will take that into account. Really only one single maneuver there. So I don't know if it's going to better the 5.5 that she's carrying.
You know, Pete, I'm no analyst, but I looked at her hand placement as she focused in on that backhand takeoff, and her front arm was way up near the nose of the board, literally, as she did the pop-up. It's very interesting to see how she twisted her body straight into driving down the line as she put her feet on that board.
And it's a technique. I mean, the best surfers, I feel like, really, a lot of it happens before they get to their feet, right? So, the best surfers understand a lineup. They're going to put themselves in position, those instinctual kind of movements towards a wave, where you're going to catch the wave to get that speed right off the gates. It's all stuff that you have to kind of gain experience doing, and equipment helps in that, and obviously lots of practice. But yeah, you're just paddling into a wave. You're really setting up your speed and where you're going to get your speed. So you have to position yourself in the perfect spot to gain that extra juice. And best surfers in the world are innately in the spot.
So different hand placement for going left and going right. Little details of Macy Callahan there, as she'll now fetch a 5.53. So just a marginal improvement as we're down now to 5.5 to go. Macy Callahan still trying to threaten that lead of Isabella Nichols, just short of requirement. Looking for the 5.58, she fetched a 5.53. So just a 0.5 off the pace. So with that, Isabella Nichols still remains the heat leader. Canal Bullard, meanwhile, down in that third place elimination spot. Of course, 3-person heats with 1 and 2 advancing to the final 16 here. Canal Bullard's going to need a big number, 7.16. And Pete, you alluded to trying to break it down into 2 parts sometime with just under 5 to go. That's getting harder.
I think that's a psychological kind of way. You're going to hear the outside influences of you need a 7.16. When, you can think about things and simplify it. 11 points, all right, 11.13 divided by 2. A pair of 6s will do it, and then that kind of settles yourself a little bit. Okay, just really the next right thing to do is get myself a 6. And then you're right in the heat. You're matching the scores that have been put on the board. And you never want to give up. Those last 4.5 minutes, we've seen
heats can
turn in a second. I mean, I think one of the most, this was a long time ago, so I'm going to age myself, but there was a heat in Japan where I watched CJ Hobgood turn a heat in literally 1 minute. At the very end of the heat, he was able to turn a heat, and it was incredible to watch. It can be done. He never gave up.
Do you remember Medina doing that in J-Bay?
He did.
Huh?
I mean, he did it he did it last year at Tahiti against
Ryan Callan this year at J-Bay. I was on beach call for that. You would have been on broadcast. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how did he do that?
Yeah,
and it was like 4 minutes to go,
and never out of it. And poor Ryan Callahan. That was a tough one to swallow, especially considering how his season has been. He's been having those types of heats a lot. So we'll see what Ryan can do come into this event. Because right now he's got to find himself some points, and Europe is usually his time.
Well, Ryan did exactly the same as Macy Callahan last year, making the finals in France as invites onto the championship to a level. Remember Macy Callahan replacement surfing last year,
like wild cards, right?
Yeah,
I mean, so
exactly.
They weren't on tour. That Ryan has had experience, but it was really cool to see that kind of bottle cap open, right? And all of a sudden there's that sense of belonging.
Let's have a look at the heat recap as the heat is now down to 3 minutes to go to wrap up round 3, heat 3. A lot of 3s in that sentence as we go to the heat recap. A heat that has got Isabella Nichols in the lead.
This was Isabella's right-hander. This is what got her into the lead. 6.5 for the 2-turn combo on the forehand with the drift for the finish. Best wave of the heat. This is her backup number, which she got the very first wave of the heat. She was able to pick up 2 quick 4.67 and a 4.57. That put her in the lead for a while. And then she took herself about 4 or 5 waves to find the 6.5. But that's got her out front. Also in this heat was Macy Callahan. And she was able to pick up her last 2 waves have become her 2 best. This was a 5.60. And then she went right back out there and got another 5-point ride, a 5.53. And that has her in second.
So the 2 Australians in charge of this heat here. Canal Bullard, beautifully silhouetted here in the late afternoon light. This is the penultimate heat of the day's proceedings. And Bullard is still in the hunt for the 7.16. And time has run out now for her, Pete, to break that into 2.
Yep, and now she's looking for that big number, the 7.16. She's by herself, it looks like, in the lineup. That's a bonus. No one's covering her. So if the wave gods shower her with an opportunity, that's all you really ask for in this point. You're like, hey, just give me an opportunity.
Just give me a bowl on the inside here.
I'll tell you, one air reverse from Canoe Boulevard right now would do it. Get one closeout, throw up nice little rail grab, Rio reverse. I'll give the 7 points, no worries.
All right, so she's not that far from her competitors. There's a look at the playing field, so to speak. You're watching a little bit of white water rolling here for the lady that has priority. So no takers on that as we hit the 1 minute mark here. It's interesting to see where the positioning plays out. Do you thinking Macy Callahan right now is going to use that 1 spot higher on the priority and start shadowing?
If she were definitely playing the game of competitive surfing, yes, she would. You cannot give anybody an inch, even though it's a pretty good number that's needed. I mean, you identify a wave. Sometimes you want to go, okay, depending on how much time's left in the heat, you identify the wave in your own mind to say, hey, does this have the potential of a 7-point ride on it? You know, and then at that point you decide, okay, and then where's your the person you're covering, your other competitor in the heat, and if she's in a position that would ultimately give her the score, you got to take it. You got to block.
Well, you wonder if Isabella Nichols would have the interests of her fellow countrymen at heart, maybe just sticking to the 3rd place surfer. Either way, that was a paddle that will put Macy Callahan down now back into a 3rd priority award. But the heat is counting down, and it's not looking like anything untoward is going to be of the result. You see a little check over the shoulder there for Isabella Nichols. She will take out this. The lady that is leading the qualifying series in 2019 is going to move into the final 16 here. So no surprises. Nichols will get the win. Macy Callahan, Championship Tour Surfer of 2018, will advance. So the 2 Australians will be part of that final 16 picture.
And I'll tell you, Isabella Nichols will be very relaxed going into the next time we see the women surf, because already building on her total for the season and just solidifying herself in that top 6 picture. So good work there from Isabella. She's not letting that pressure get to her.
Well, very, very strong speculation. We'll make that call that Isabella Nichols will be part of the championship tour.
You like my bold call?
Yeah,
bold call.
yeah.
Come on, it's not that bold. I mean, she's sitting at number 1.
But look at the points amassed. It's going to be up in north of 15,000, right?
And again, looking at where you are, she's putting 3,500 already just by making that heat. So again, she's adding another 1,000 points, and very, very nice.
An official result for round 3, heat 3. Isabella Nichols and Macy Callahan are through. Stay with us. The final heat coming our way of the day here from beautiful Pantin in Spain. We'll bring in Paul Evans for the call.
I just ran all the way from Bells Beach to tell you that the king is back. Grab my board. Surfers from Australia have banded together. I think surf booties are cool.
You are a certified badass.
What's up, Chris Cote here with some breaking news.
Literally.
Have you seen the clip?
Boom! Chris, can we get some more news, please?
Using plastic at our events has always been the norm. Recycling helps, but most plastic still ends up here, or worse, here. Plastic never goes away, because with plastic, there is no away. At the rate we're going, by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. It's a deep problem, but there are steps we can all take. By cutting out single-serve plastics at our events, we can start turning back the plastic tide. This is our commitment for a stronger ocean. What's yours?
Welcome back to beautiful Pantin, the Abanca Galicia Classic Surf Pro 2019 QS 10,000. And our final heat of the day. We're going to wrap things up here. Round 3, heat 4. And what a heat it looks like being Keely Andrew of Australia, Samantha Sibley from the USA, and Tatiana Weston Webb representing Brazil. Paul Evans in the booth for the call with Pete Mel. And this looks like an awesome lineup for this last heat of the day, Pete.
It sure is, and let's develop some of the drama. You look at someone who's in this heat, Keely Andrew, and where she sits on that QS rankings. She needs points drastically if she wants to keep herself on that championship tour. You got Tatiana Weston Webb in this one, along with Samantha Sibley, and Samantha Sibley sitting just outside of that top 10 picture. Matter of fact, she has to be in that 7th picture, but a winner already this season at the Supergirl. So you'd say that she's probably the youngster trying to break in against the Keely Andrew and the Tatiana Weston Webb, who have a much more experience, especially on the championship tour.
Well, we saw a good start there from Tati, and we reckon it's going to be a decent number as well. Let's stick with live action. Here goes Sibley in the blue. And that board looking great. Fitting in to these transitions on this left-hander down on the inside. She served really smartly earlier this afternoon. She's back out in the water. That focus of the energy on that inside bar. Tied just on the turn now and starting to run out, so could be pretty optimum on this left. And Weston Webb, the judges are going to process a score for her. But we saw some really nice maneuvers. She arrived super late on that end section. It's offering us a really nice shore break to hit. So there's loads of points on offer for that final maneuver, which wasn't really something the judges could reward earlier on in the day.
So true. Because, it is a different lineup, really. And you got to see that the judges will adjust from heat to heat. It's all about comparisons. So you're really not comparing a wave that happened at, midday or in the morning. You're really comparing about the last wave in the heat, really. So you got to pay attention to that.
Here goes Keely Andrew. So smooth and polished. Takes a high line and then a low line around this section. There's a nice re-entry on her backhand. Loads of board out the lip. Maintains that speed. It just looks so polished and composed. So she would love to throw some qualifying points up here. And she started off pretty well with that. Looking really sharp and polished. Judges will process a number. But I think from the opening exchange, from what we've seen so far, from just what we saw of Tatiana, it seemed like she got the best of that opening exchange.
Keely Andrew, number 14 on the QS rankings, has only surfed 4 events this season. She participated in the Vans U.S. Open of Surfing, which was a QS 10,000, and then she did 3 other QS 6,000s. And she's got some numbers there, enough that has her sitting in that 14th spot, but she hasn't surfed her 5th event. So all of her points will go in, and she'll make a major jump as she's already into the round of 24 as we watch that quick replay there from Keely.
Yeah, 367 for her. She got that early on. And she's got another number to come in as well. Meanwhile, Samantha Sibley will drop a score. The Goofy in the blue, she'll get a 4-5 for her second wave.
Sibley sits at 15 on the rankings with a 6,000 in her scoreline for that Supergirl win, the Nissan Supergirl. But she's carrying a low number as well in her scoreline at 400, which she is definitely improved on by getting into this round. But again, she does not want to stop here. She really wants to get herself another big win. And, if she gets 10,000 points, that's going to add a big number, and she could conceivably go all the way to the top.
All right, we're game on here. Great number drops in for Weston Webb. We thought it was going to be a good score. It's a flat 7. So accessing right up the scale already. It was a really well surfed together wave. I think the key word from that would be the rhythm, the way she tagged that lip on the inside. Super late arriving at that section. So advantage Tatiana. And everyone has had a couple of waves who can bring a bit of a situation. And we'll check a replay here from Samantha.
Yeah, so this is Samantha with the rip off the top and then the drift of the fins. That's one of the things that the youngsters will bring is that progression where you start to see the drift of the fins in the lip, going into some grabs or some aerials. Really, I feel like I mentioned it earlier today, but that's where you're going to see some separation start to happen. Because even on the championship tour, you just don't see enough aerial type maneuvers from the women. And I feel like that's something where we could easily see they all can do them. You know, in competition, it is a little bit tougher to do because they're hard maneuvers to do. But ultimately, with this progression of the sport, we're going to see that happen as well.
All right. Well, exciting times in our sport. We're checking out the new crop of hopefuls that would love to get on that elite championship tour. And this is one of the biggest events of the season in terms of doing that 10,000 point up for grabs, as we've mentioned, for the first time ever. We'll stick with live from the drone. Here goes Sibley down the line, the goofy, nice slicing, slashing top turn. Then the wave goes a little bit soft. She'll just kind of kick out and survey the lineup. So 217 her backup, 4-5 her high score. She might work on a backup. Don't think she'll threaten her high score. But in terms of the early running so far, Western Webb coming with a bunch of experience from the CT and looking pretty good with that 7 so far.
So the thing that, you know, for me, when you look at a championship tour experienced surfer compared to a young upstart, it's about the patience, you know, utilizing the entire 30 minutes to get the highest quality waves. I mean, at that level in the championship tour, it's generally the surfers that are going to get through are the surfers that are going to get the best 2 waves in that 30-minute period. She knows that, applies that here on the QS level. Whereas I say Samantha Sibley, you know, has not had any of that championship tour experience, but she does bring that kind of youthfulness to it and again, that progression. This is the 7-point ride here as you see that first snap right in the pocket. And then again, and that's committed. Almost feels like when she hits the lip right there and she gets that drift, it's like, whoa, what is she doing? It's almost going to fall. But nope, complete control. And that's why you see the numbers lift. High risk.
She's having another paddle again in the evening sunshine here at Playa Pantin in Galicia. And a little sort
it's
of...
like she's listening.
A little flamboyant out from her. Now, an interesting point you make about the patience of our CT athletes compared with the QS. And even if you just think about the venues and even the type of swells that they surf, generally speaking, going to be surfing longer interval swells, which means even just the rhythm of the sets themselves is longer between them. So they used to sit more on their board rather than on the QS. It's more of that rapid pace kind of approach in the beach breaks.
True.
We'll revisit that thought. In the meantime, we're going to hear from Shannon, who is down the beach with the win of the last heat, Isabella Nichols.
Muchas gracias, chicos. We are here with the heat winner, Isabella Nichols. You actually brought the sunshine, I think, because it's beautiful now. And you're stoked. You just barely made it over in Macy. How did that feel?
I mean, it just felt good to get through that heat. Macy surfs really well, especially on her back end. And, yeah, just happy to progress, really.
Cool. Well, now it matters a lot with 10,000 points, a much bigger event than ever. You've been here before. How's it feel to have the event so much larger?
Yeah, I love Spain. I love Pantin so much. It's one of my favorite places. Europe in general, yeah, I just love it. I mean, having a 10,000, it feels like it's a little bit more important, but it's got the same vibe, so not too much pressure. And I mean, the setup here is always great. Everything, the atmosphere is amazing. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
All right. Well, use that momentum moving into tomorrow. Go back to you guys. Thank you.
And Pete, do you want a fun fact about Isabella Nichols?
Yes.
Born in Denmark.
So she gonna...
European heritage, Danish mum, lived there till she was 2 years old, and then the whole family moved over to Australia. She's actually going to head up there after this.
And go say hi to the family.
There you go, live action. Let's check out Samantha Sibley, streaking down the line. Loads of speed, doesn't really get a good chance to tee off on a lip. Meanwhile, here goes Keely Andrew. There's that trademark smooth style. Nice aggression. Gets the board up nice and vert. It's more of a redirect than a real attack on the lip. And we'll see Western Webb, the trademark silhouette of her. And there is a similar kind of approach to her 7 with the rhythm of those 2 tones, kind of off the tail a little bit, Pete. And again, nice ball control.
It was about an adjustment because that was a very tight impact of the lip. So it's easy to stuff your nose in because the boards are, close to 6 feet long and you're riding a wave with a transition of only 4 feet. You got to be able to have that board control like you'd mentioned. Great work there. A lot of strength in Tatiana's legs. Very, very strong.
Well, that will be an improvement to her situation because she was counting a 0.87 prior to that. Let's have a look at this replay.
So again, the quick snaps and straight back in the lip. So there's a combination of major moves. We was able to straight into another maneuver for the finish. And she was a little bit tight, cramped a little bit, but she did well to keep the flow alive and not get too pressured in the lip. She was explosive out of it, and that's that strength that she has.
5.33 drops for our Brazilian surfer out of Hawaii, Tatiana Weston Webb. So very much in the driving seat in this one. 12.33 her heat total already, and she looks interested again. And she's up on a beautiful looking wave. Nice little stinging snap through the lip. There she'll take on a really meaty section. Wow, and a bit of an explosion down there. Just got the better of her.
That's a bummer because it felt like the strength of that first snap in the lip there was definitely going to improve her situation. But the fall, now, no harm, no foul, though. I think she got her backup number to the 7, so she'll sit comfortably out front. The battle for second position. I mean, you notice that there's 3 people in the water. There's no 4, we lost a 4th person. That's the round of 24.
Sure.
Part of the format. So 2 advance. You don't want to be in that 3rd position, do you?
And interesting to see the approach as well. Using the whole wave, really taking on the lip. No safety approach from Tatiana. Both of her scores have been similar attacks on the lip, even though that was a throwaway. It's a statement of intent. It's the approach she's going for. And I really enjoy that aggression. A little explosion on that inside shorey section. Some of these little wide swinging parts of the set just travel through the deep water next to this bank, and then all of that energy just kind of unloads. You do see sometimes that little right coming at our surfers with more momentum than they have going down the line, and just slightly got the better of her there. We'll see a quick readjust in the lineup as the set will stand up. Keely Andrew in 2nd place. Her total at the moment just 8.5. And we've been blessed throughout the day, no matter what stage of the tide we've talked about how much this has changed. But the one constant had pretty good waves throughout the day, Pete.
It's so true. And it didn't matter the 10 feet of tide difference for the most part. There was quality waves had through and through. Even with this high tide right here on the shore break, it's still got plenty of opportunities for all the surfers.
Oh, nice effort there from Sibley. A ton of speed down the line. She hadn't done much leading into then. And just tries to throw in that variety, throw in the tail. Just doesn't quite get the execution. But again, I love the intent. I love the risk taking. And already at round 3 at this level in 10,000, it's not safe, conservative surfing that our athletes are looking to produce. They're taking the risks down here. And it's really nice to see in that shore break the girls flaring up.
Just having a quick gander at what we're looking at for surf forecast-wise. Tomorrow, slight decrease. Winds similar. As a matter of fact, a little bump in winds for the afternoon, similar direction. But looking into like Thursday, another bump in swell, significant bump in swell, 5 to 8 feet. And northeast direction.
The world's largest collections of surf event T-shirts. Keeps him his own little private vault down there in Australia. So just wanted to make sure that he didn't miss out on this year's number.
It's always here.
He said for a T-shirt.
It's funny because he touched on it, the fact that he says that he hasn't been here for 30 years. And I'm like, really? How do you get all the event T-shirts? So someone brings him his shirts every time? Because he hasn't actually visited here until this year. So it's good to see him there. Looking thin, too, for Al Hunt.
Yeah, he's looking great. Yeah, he's fired up. I haven't seen him go for a surf yet.
Oh, wait. Now that's the challenge because I think it's been a while since we see it. We'll have to fire him up.
So getting down to the 12-minute mark in this one. Tatiana leading from the front. That's 7 and 5.33. Looking really good. Who's going with her at the moment? Andrew. But she's got fairly modest total. Still on 8.5.
Just to elaborate for the folks at home who do not know Al Hunt. Al Hunt has been one of the organizers / what we would call him, tour manager, but he's been part of it since 76, I believe, right? Even earlier. So, he used to compete.
And the go-to guy for our service, like, what do I need, Al, in terms of qualification or titles or whatever it was? He was the guy crunching the numbers and working it all out. Apparently now they have computers for that, but I'd prefer Al.
Yeah, and it's just about, he understands, how many points are on offer, and he'll create that hypothetical kind of cut line. This season for the addition of a 10,000 here, they'll push that number up on the men's side slightly. It definitely pushed up the number for the women's. So we'll see when we get to the Vans Triple Crown. And actually, for the women, it actually finishes even further out after that. I think there's one more event at the very, very end of the season in December that, it's a QS 6000, and that really is a big event for the women to determine, if CT, you'll know at that point what you exactly need in order to requalify if you haven't made it on the championship tour.
A lot of surfing yet to come this season in 2019. And we're just kind of rounding on the back straight that time of year, where we start to sort of turn the corner and start to think about the events that are left and some of the forerunners, obviously in the title race, the requalification via the championship tours, but of course, qualification on the QS. And that is exactly why we're here in Pantin, celebrating to the 4th decade now for this event. An absolute icon on the European circuit. This will be our last heat for the day. We'll round things out with this one. There's 10 minutes and 10 seconds to go. You can see that tide now already starting to show on these outside bars. As the tide does run out here, you will see more and more sets breaking outside. Let's go with live action from Keely Andrews. A powerful little setup turn now. She'll get a really nice double up. That's a great turn from Keely. She won't get another one, but effortless, great execution, nice flow, and a well put together wave.
And she'll definitely improve and move that much further away from Samantha Sibley on the points in this heat. Again, top 2 will move on into that round of 16, where we'll begin the one-on-one competition. Right now, in the QS, you get to a certain point in the event format, and then it goes to one-on-one, which of course is training for the championship tour. That wasn't always the case. Back in the day, the QS was all 4-man or 4 women. So ultimately, thinking about refining and making the tour better, you want to learn how to surf one-on-one heats. And so if you get to those one-on-one heats, you're definitely gaining experience, surfing those types of heats, because it's a different type of surfing.
Yeah, and definitely that's become a hallmark for the last few years for these 10,000s. When you get into the latter stages, everything about them kind of resembles a CT. The sort of performances we're seeing, the only thing really different is some of the venues. We're still holding them at beach break surf like this, but definitely very much in between, sort of blurring that boundary almost between the qualifiers and the CT, these 10,000s.
Well, and I think the importance on the qualifying series will, heighten as we see more attention from all series. These bigger events start to come on the qualifying series. We'll see a lot of that focus change. The championship tour is always the elite, and those should be the elite venues, the best places in the world. But I think there's definitely ways to improve the QS in wave quality as well. I mean, shoot, we've got some great qualifying series events in Indonesia. I mean, look, we got NIOS on the schedule, which is coming up in just a month's time. I mean, everybody wants to surf NIOS, right? You should get your entry in. Come on, Paul. You know how to get barreled.
Get me over there. Yeah, absolutely. And exciting times with some, not necessarily new venues, but old favourites that we haven't seen for a while on our various circuits unfolding. And a real question asked to our surfers is, can you do it in all kinds of conditions? Can you mix it in the beach breaks? Can you do it in the quality waves? That's what you're going to need to bring in terms of the championship tour. Right now we are at Pantin. It's a powerful beach break. It's an open ocean kind of wave. And we're looking at some sets stand up on the outside here. Now all that water is going to rush out, and when that meets the incoming swell, you do tend to get ever further away on that running outside. But let's check out our heat leader here as Tatiana Weston Webb. She'll go across a tricky section. It's getting really shallow in there. A little bit chewed up as well as this rip starts to run through. And Keely Andrew used it to advantage on that wave. That rip, she got a great little rip bowl section and got a 5.47 on her last wave. And on that between Tatiana, her wave, just the wave scoring potential a little bit deteriorating with that rip running through it.
So true. I mean, again, that's the transition. And generally you see when tides are moving quickly, it disrupts the wave quality a bit. Sometimes it'll talk about the wave consistency at times. So you got to make those adjustments and move around the lineup.
Okay, so Tati on the inside, going with the backhand. She's pretty well known for a backhand attack. There's a nice couple of big hits from her, keeps the speed. There's another stab on the end, maybe not complete on the last maneuver, but definitely nice couple of flaring turns in that evening light from her. Let's think about the 5.33 in her backup. Don't think she'll attack her 7. Just asking a question and going to the right hand, and that's something that will come into play as this tide runs out.
Just reflecting upon Samantha Sibley's, as we watch this replay first, to see if she's going to improve on the 5.33. First snap there is nice. Again, second turn's good, but you had mentioned that she didn't complete that third maneuver. Had she ridden out of that, I would say, yeah, she's going to probably improve on the 5.33, but with that failed third maneuver, I would say nope, not going to factor in. But talking about Samantha Sibley and her performance in the event that she came out winning the QS 6000, the Nissan Supergirl, there was at least 2 heats that I remember watching where she was down and she had to turn it up in the last 5 minutes, and she was able to do that. And she actually had a turn of heats where she needed exorbitant numbers, and she was able to do it. So she's not afraid of putting it all on the line and making it happen in the last 5 minutes. So see if she can do that in this one.
The requirement for the American, 5.8 at the moment. That's the number she needs. That'll stay that way so long as Keely Andrew can't improve on her score under that 5-minute mark. Set still standing up just outside of our lineup here. So tricky. We've been more or less on the same lineup for the last 5 or 6 heats. We've been on this kind of peak right on the shore break. Now it's just starting to move a little bit outside. So we saw our surfers caught inside by a set that never really hit the sandbar then. So let's see if we get any readjusts. Let's see who sticks with their positioning. This is a story of how it's gone down so far, though.
Well, the first solid number came in from Tatiana Weston Webb. 2-turn combo upwards into the 7-point range. In that very good realm as a scale of judging and the points given. Here's Keely's 3. Actually, that's the 5.47. This was the number that got her out front a bit further over Samantha Sibley. So those are the 2 biggest numbers in this heat.
Yeah, real contrast to styles there, apart from the obvious opposite stances. The smoothness of Keely, that controlled power. Tatiana with that kind of radical, more sort of talked approach. And she goes up into that lip successfully, came off best. That was a 7, really early. From then, she's been pretty comfortable. She's having a little look here on the inside. You see it flying down the line, a slightly wider section. There's a nice setup snap. And she'll keep pumping and driving for speed. There's a nice stinging hit into the lip as well. She enjoyed that. So the 5.33 could be under threat here, Pete.
I would say yes. And the reason being is that the speed she carries into those, only 2 maneuvers. But we saw 2 maneuvers fetch a 7. So it is possible. But that one not going to quite go all the way to the 7. But I definitely see that 5.33 being slightly improved. We'll see what the judges think.
Loves catching waves. She's kept her wave count super high, as we'll watch Samantha Sibley go with the backhand attack here on a right-hand runner, and she's sticking it to the lip multiple times. That's a big hit. She's still going down the line, super light on her feet. Nice redirect snap, and a great wave from Samantha.
This is what I'm talking about. She does not fold to pressure. Matter of fact, she lifts her game when the pressure is on, and that's the type of surfing you need to be able to do. When you're back's against the wall, go out there and execute. And Samantha, I feel like, let's watch it again. It wasn't a big wave, but it had the line. The snap there. One thing, I guess, if I was going to, critique it, is that you want to see a bit of variety, and the backhand can be tough to get that variety. I think the spark and the spray off the rail, though, is probably enough. Again, when looking for a 5.8. Wow, it's going to be right there. Replay of the last of Tatiana. And that number came in. It was a 5.17, so it did not improve on the 5.33.
All right, live action. Here goes Keely Andrew on the left. We just caught the end of that wave from our angle of the drone. The requirement prior to that was 5.8 for Samantha. It was, like you said, a smaller wave, almost maybe just over half the size of some of the other sets we've seen. Final. It was clean. Wasn't much kind of downtime between maneuvers, as you mentioned as well. Maybe not quite the variety. But let's see how that score comes in for our judges. It's not going to be enough. Comes in just under 5.07, so close. Not close enough. And time will tick away. 1:10 to go. And she had a little look on the inside as well. I'm not sure if she's heard her score yet. I don't think so. She's not worried really about that. She just knows she's down to just over the final minute here. And she needs to get something going. So this is all going to come down to the last 60 seconds.
It is, and thinking about the number from Keely Andrews, she's got another wave to post. We only saw the very end. It was a pretty solid maneuver. Now we get to have a full look at it, I think. This is the start of it. See how she weaves it back, sets up the first maneuver there, the snap. tags it again, and then she gets a good solid finish here. So, thinking about that score in relation to her low, as we watch this replay again. You know, the maneuver's done in the kind of the smaller part of the wave, but 3 turns, and the number's in.
Number drops. It comes in as a 4.8, so it's as we were. Comes in just under her backup score. Time's going to tick down, though. 10 seconds left on the clock. Have we got a last hurrah from Sibley? I'm not sure we do. And we're going to get the horn now. We're not going to see another wave ridden. And so Tatjana Westerweb, who looked really strong from the get-go in that one, she'll advance in first place. And she'll take Keely Andrew, the Australian, with her. So it's a good job for Tati. Well done, Keely Andrew. And Samantha Sibley, she surfed really well. Disappointed to lose her talent from the draw here.
Yeah, she's going to improve, you know, with her point total. But ultimately, I think that she would have loved to have been able to get through that one.
So, as our last heat for the day, we've been running since 9:30 this morning local time, so a long day of competition here with us all throughout the day. We've gone completely through the tide, and now we're on our way back out again. And the scores have just stayed super high. Just reflection on some of those performances and some of the epic surfing we've seen throughout the day. Let's make the result official. There it is, Western Webb, 12.33 total. Good enough for first, and she'll advance alongside Keely Andrew. A 10.3 for her. So not a lot in it between her and Samantha Sibley. She gets 9.57. So she'll bow out at this. So disappointment for her. Just kind of ran out of time to get that wave. She was heading up towards that score. Just not enough time left in that heat, Pete. And, well, we think back on pretty big day of women's surfing.
Pretty big day?
Great performance.
Huge day. Huge day. I mean, we went into 3 rounds of competition, from the round of 60 into the round of 48, and then half of the round of 24. So, yeah, huge day. 28 heats, 26 heats.
And
that was my math.
We've been hearing, you know, we're getting the debriefs from some of our athletes. They've been mentioning they've been here in town for a couple of days. Some of them, many of them, revisiting just how huge the shift is in our lineup and how much variation there is. It's hard to really have a particular advantage in terms of the reader conditions. Definitely got to stay very much open-minded about where you're surfing.
So true. You know, and I think that that's a motto of really the QS and the mind frame that you're going to have to carry here. You know, you could be in conditions that are not optimum, and you've got to be able to keep that smile on your face and keep that level and talent up and that positivity.
Well, that's our village down here. I stepped out 2 heats ago. That little skate park section was absolutely going off down there on the other side of the village. And this is the setup here. Pantin just gets better and better every year. And a real celebration of surf culture down here. The fans love it. Coming over from, well, La Coruña is the local big city, but from all over Spain, really. A bunch of fans. Crew come up from Portugal as well. People around on vacation in this area at this time of year. So really just celebrating surfing and the end of that summer season. Let's start to think about some of the top 5 moments from a massive day of competition. Some of the things that are standing out for us.
I would say that there is many. Probably more than 5, but we're going to take a look at first. You know, the early rounds, we saw some good performances. So we'll see the top 5 moments. It's Maud Lacar.
Maud Lacar, round 1 from her, and she threw down a massive 8.5. Look at the aggression from Maud. This is fresh, and she started off so strong this morning. You could see from the body language she really enjoyed that.
Then Bronte Macaulay, she was able to put up an 8.83. This was her first heat of the morning. Started off a little bit slow, but then put it together. I mean, just 2 vicious rips off the lip. Of course, this is that left, a little lower tide, and gets a solid finish in 8.83. That put her out front, and she ended up taking the heat win.
Well, this is the low light from our highlights, and Nikki Van Dyke. A massive error there, interfering. And that was a really silly move from her point of view, the CT surfer, and that meant she only scored on 1 wave. Beautiful action, as we see driving up into the lip. But Nikki Van Dyke, that cost her. She only scored on 1 wave, and ultimately she got eliminated.
Well, and then we got to see a name that we haven't heard a lot of, Amura Tutuki, and she went ballistic. 3-turn combo, our first 9 of the event, 9.07. And when we watched that wave, I mean, I was putting my hands together because that was some very dynamic surfing, and we could see more of her in this event.
And it just kept on coming with those high, excellent range scores. A 9-0 for Alyssa Spencer from the USA. Love the way she set this one up. This wave just cooperated for her on the inside, asked a question, and she absolutely smashed that ending. No type of conservatism there. Taking risks, judges rewarding it with a 9. What a day, Pete.
What a day is right. You know, and of course, we are going to be back here bright and early again tomorrow. Well, not super early. What, 8-ish? 9 call.
A commentary team yoga session at 5, mate.
Oh,
so
really?
We'll be expecting it is mandatory. So we'll see you down here for that. And then we're going to have a call at 9 a.m. local time.
You're funny, Paul.
We're looking at a forecast pretty similar to today. So we're thinking similar kind of things. Maybe a little bit more wind, as you mentioned. Maybe that wind a little bit more out of the east. So slightly more cross off. Fingers crossed.
Yep. And first day of the waiting period for the men, so we could conceivably see them hit the water or the women. So, I mean, one or the other could be there, but I ultimately say that we will probably see some heats getting run tomorrow, and I'll be here.
Yep. We're going to be here making full use of this window. This QS 10,000 for men and women. We're going to have calls about which one we're going to run. 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're going to show some highlights from today. Enjoy those, and thanks for tuning in wherever you've been around the world. I guess the America will be online now, waking up, bit of coffee, maybe spot of cereal, some oatmeal, and checking out the surfing.
They've been up for a little while. I mean, come on, I wake up around 6:30 or 7 a.m. So, yeah, it's about that time, and they'd be tuning in. And you know what? I think as Europe is concerned, you know, we are very well and true in these very long days. So expect more of that tomorrow.
Well, it's heading up towards, 8:30 in the evening, or as they call it around here, lunchtime. So we do things a little differently around here. We're going to show you some highlights, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow. See ya. Big day, Rob. Way to get through. That was fun.
Pressure's rising deep inside it. Feel the tension. There is so much you do to me. I could mention, but I won't. I'm high, sparks fly, even when I touch your shoulder. I feel your heartbeat, and I wanna take you over. I wanna take you. There's something taking over me. Lost what it is, what it is, what it is, what lost what it is, what it is, what passion growing every time we feel inspired. On a mission, and I don't wanna till we're tired. 'Cause you've got flavors like I've never. I'm so hungry. I'm so sure that you've got just what it just satisfy me. There's something taking over me. Lost what it is, what it is, what it is, what lost what it is, what it is, what it is, what lost what it is, what it is, what it is, what lost what it is, what it is, what. There's something taking over me. Lost, I just can't help myself. Lost, I just can't
the WSL are taking some major steps to protect our ocean. We're offsetting our carbon footprint, cutting out single-serve plastics from our events, and committing to leave every beach better than we found it. Because no action is too small, and if all of us pledge to do something every day, we can make big changes for the ocean and our planet. This is our pledge to stop trashing waves. What's yours?